Hey, and welcome to Skarvig in the Ark. And in this particular one, we're looking to do the Alpha Ferox Cull. But I might as well talk a little bit about how to go about the Ferox Cull before we actually get stuck into it. So, once you've activated the mission, you'll actually be given a little indicator of the first place that you actually need to head towards. Once you've found the location, small footprints will then start turning up on the ground for you to follow. And after you've followed a number of them, you'll then come across the Ferox. You'll then basically beat it down a certain amount until it runs away. You'll then need to follow the tracks again until you find it once again. And upon the third time finding it, the Ferox will actually be accompanied by a handful of Gigantopithecus and polar bears, and you then basically have a mini fight with all of them together until you defeat them all upon completing the mission. So, some of the challenges that you'll actually face when doing the Cull fight. Basically, the damage on the Gamma fight is quite minimal. I did it with 3 Rexes, which had about 20,000 health and 900 melee. And they had a saddle with 125 armor. And I only took 3 Rexes in on the Gamma fight, and they did that very, very comfortably. I could probably have done it with 1 Rex. However, with the Gamma fight, I did that with 5 Rexes, and that was again quite comfortable. But then with the Alpha fight, it was absolutely brutal. I ended up taking it as if I was in a boss fight, and I took in 19 Rexes, and I had my own mount. Not the Snow Leopard that you've actually been watching me ride around on, the Thalacolio. I've actually took in an Argent, because the next part of the challenge is if you actually get hit by the Ferox, you get knocked off your mount. And when you're fighting the Alpha, one hit after being knocked off your mount basically will kill you, and the fight ends and you have to start again.
You're bleeding.
Anyway, here's the final part of the Alpha fight, where I take it down with all the Rexes. In the end, I lose about 5 Rexes, and after the fight, I'll basically give my thoughts on the Ferox Cull mission.
Now that's what I call a hunt.
Let's have a look at the loot. Baryonyx, Basilisk. So much interesting. Some fur, bit of a gas mask. Still not that crash hot, nothing ascendant. I already had an ascendant spear and all that kind of stuff. None of that's new. Bows, nothing crash hot. I mean, it looks like the best thing that I got was a Thorny Dragon saddle. But yeah, it's not even that crash hot. For the amount of effort that you have to go to do that fight, you get virtually nothing in return, because I owned these Ascendant weapons beforehand. That's actually my gear. And all these saddles is my gear. Everything else is really subpar. I mean, even the hatchet and the pick, they're mine, right? So, yeah. For all the effort that you have to go to basically get yourself a team that can survive that fight, the rewards are pitiful, really. And these guys are super hurt. I mean, I lost 5 of them as it is. Get over here and have a look. Actually, oh no, you're late. You're on death's door. Yeah. I mean, if I was doing a boss fight, as if I was doing the island, maybe like the dragon fight with all these Rexes, because that's something I'd probably do, although I'd probably actually do that with Theres. If I took 20 of these creatures into an alpha boss fight on the island, these guys would not be that bad off. They just wouldn't, because we're not even talking like crappy stuff here, right? So we're talking an Ascendant saddle, and we're talking leveled 40 levels on things that have actually got a decent base, and they just got absolutely hammered. So there's potentially something else that they're expecting there. Teamwork using, you know, Uranus and Daedons and potentially other things, Snow Owls for healing, and it's always a possibility. So yeah, I guess my final thoughts on the Ferox Cull is that it is an interesting fight from the perspective. It feels like a boss fight, and it feels like a fight that you would probably do in Ark, albeit that I would have done that a heap different. I like the tracks. I like chasing down and finding where the Ferox is. I think that's really, really good. But the intermittent fighting of the Ferox to then have random polar bears and Gigantopithecus turn up in what is a very temperate region is just silly. Like, I don't understand that. It's really short-sighted. Again, it sort of brings me back to the the island is very complete. If you want to do a boss fight, you've got to do a cave. You've got to do that dungeon crawl. You get down to the end of that cave and you find an artifact. That artifact is a key to you being able to do the boss fight. Why is the Ferox that you're actually chasing not down the bottom of a cave? That you have to do a crawl, a dungeon crawl, to get to the bottom. And even if you wanted to have that staged fight, right? So you go into the cave, you've got to kill things. Maybe it's in the frozen region where you're fighting polar bears and Gigantopithecus, and along the way you occasionally come across the Ferox, and you have to beat it down, and it runs away until you actually get down to the very depths of the cave, at which point that's the stage that you actually kill it off. And at least from a theme point of view, it actually makes a lot more sense. But to have it out in the open world, and the biomes just don't match up. It doesn't. Well, we've already got instance things, right? So I can spawn into an instance world and do the other missions. They could have even done it from that perspective, right? You start the mission, it takes you into another area. You get your boss summoning circle where you have your 20 creatures that you can take in to go and do the Ferox Cull mission, and it ends up being a proper cave. It's not kind of nice that it was in the world, but it's just misplaced, so I'm just not so sure of it. Missed opportunities, I guess, would be the best way to basically explain it. It looks like it's it's almost there, but they just didn't quite think it through 100%. Anyway, there are basically my thoughts. You can't really put on them too much. I am being very, very critical, but that's because I don't like the missions in the first place. And yeah, hopefully the video actually helps you out in terms of understanding the Ferox Cull mission and at least the serious requirement that you need to do to actually beat the alpha version of it. But it is done now, and I probably only have a few missions to do that I actually want to do. I'm going to be skipping all the rest, and then I'll be getting on to the Rockwell fights. Should be fun. Alright, let me know what you think down in the comments, and yeah, I'll catch you in the next one.
Hey there.
See you later.